wanna be round a champion, a champion. This is me, I still on it, 'cause you all wanna be loved. Yeah, you all wanna be loved.
Hey, y'all. Look, we have a hot show tonight. We're a couple minutes late because we were just chopping it up and we're getting it in. So I don't want to take too much time. We have some hot guests on tonight. I definitely want to welcome everyone back. I know that we missed, a week last week just to have a good little break for the holidays, but we're so happy to be back. I'm glad to be here. I'm thankful to be here. But before we get started, I do want to just give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Workspace Solutions. So if your business needs a digital presence or a full-fledged marketing team at an affordable price, be sure to check them out. You can actually look them up on Google and reach out to them directly and just see what they have to offer. Even look them up on YouTube and just check out some of their products, because I'm sure y'all will not be disappointed. We work really closely with them and they haven't disappointed us yet. So be sure to do that. But like I said, y'all, we got a hot show tonight. We have a huge weekend this weekend. We've been all waiting for it. A lot of us have been saying that we were going to end up in the Rose Bowl and the national championship. So it's like everything is kind of happening according to at least what we saw coming. But I do want to get started by just letting our guests kind of quickly introduce themselves. I really feel like they don't need an introduction. But what we're going to do, I'm going to start it off with Stephen M. Smith, my brother from another mother, the one and look, the hottest analyst in the game. Steven, I can't give you an introduction the way that you give it, but I'm gonna do as good as I can, right?
Look, sis. So see, that's good right there. That's good right there. I'm thrilled to be here. I know a lot of people are wondering why on this earth are you not in Pasadena? So my response to that question, saving everything for of a national championship. I know the team is there. I know those guys are training and working their butts off to get this thing here against Michigan. So I'm excited. I did receive word that both teams are practicing in the same facility. So security, keep your eye on that drone. Keep that Michigan drone outside of the practice facility. But I'm doing good.
Good. Look, I hope that that's just a joke, because they like to cheat. So we just about to rebuke that, because we're not having none of that over here. But thank you for joining tonight, Stephen. And I also have to give a shout out to Lucian. Thank you for being here. Look, he's one of the hottest analysts on Final Whistle that comes on the Bama Standard Network every Tuesday night. He can say some controversial things, but he ain't lying. So even if you get in your feelings, he's still speaking facts. So it's definitely facts over feelings over here. So Lucian, any introduction that you want to give, anything that you want to say?
I'm just happy to be here, CC. Stephen, it's going to be fun. And, I'm not really worried so much about these Michigan drones and cameras. Saban's experienced, and I think, he's got some mob ties, and they're probably sweeping the facilities after every Michigan practice. So I think we'll be good on their surveillance.
You know what? Saban do got a couple of them ties. So I would not be surprised if after each practice he got the crew in there 30 deep like Wu-Tang, sweeping and cleaning up in there. So that would not surprise me in the slightest.
Exactly. Look, we got some Italian ties too on our family. So look, we hit them up. They're like, and actually one of my cousins, and shout out to Rich. So he lives in Connecticut. He's not even an Alabama fan, but every time we win, he's always hitting me up. He's like, look, cousin, so happy for y'all. So shout out to him. But I do want to get started with, some of the hottest news that happened about a week ago. So National Signing Day, it was huge for us, and I think I know, Stephen, you and I, we talked about this before the season even started. We talked about the 2024 and the 2025 class, and we didn't even know who all was going to be a part of those classes. So I definitely want to get started with that. And the first thing that I wanted to say, too, as we talk about these younger guys, I have to give a shout out to Caleb Downs, true freshman. He was actually named this morning as the recipient of the Sean Alexander Award, Freshman of the Year Award. And I think that that's awesome. If anyone deserves it, he definitely deserves it. So we definitely have to give him a shout out. He's from the state of Georgia. I always talk about how good we've been able to recruit from, the defending national champions, so I think that speaks volumes. But I want to get y'all's takes on our 2024 class. Just what do you think? How do you feel? I think right now at least on Rivals, they had us rated as like the number 3, which that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, how can you produce? So I do want to get your take on that. I'll start with you, Stephen. What do you think about our 2024 class? Is it what you expected, or is it better than what you expected?
I'll say this. I mean, as long as you have a top 5 recruiting class, you're competing. So as long as you have a top 5, but I love these kids. I mean, you brought in 23 hard-working kids. And of the 23, 9 of them are in-state. So you got the state of Alabama with 9 of these kids. I know a lot of fans are wondering, why didn't Ryan Williams, the 5-star from Sarah Lynn High School, why hasn't he signed yet? You know, is Auburn going to flip him? People calm down. Hugh Freeze has no leg to flip him. He has no. He does have a quarterback. He has no leg to flip him. And Ryan Williams knows Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, Judy, Ruggs, Smith, Otto, J-Mo. They all went first round. Come from the University of Alabama. And when you watch Ryan Williams, I know people throw the term generational talent around loosely. That kid is a true generational talent. And I think he knows where he's best suited at, and that's at the University of Alabama. So I do see Ryan Williams signing in February. But to this class as a whole, love these kids. Julian Sayin, the 5-star quarterback, has already come in making noise. I mean, he is spinning the football. He is making a ton of plays in bowl prep right now. Saban loves him. Tommy Reese loves him. Jalen Milroe is already impressed by him. I was shocked when Kevin Riley flipped from Miami to Alabama. That shocked me. I mean, this kid, Kenyon Drake 2.0 speed.
Yeah.
Kenyon Drake speed, a lot of power, can break tackles, but that kid can ball. Love that kid. The Justin Okonrokwo kid, if he was in the States, he would be a 5-star. He played overseas, so he's a 3. Like this guy linebacker a lot. The fact that the last time we got a receiver from Pennsylvania, it was 2013 Robert Foster. We go back to Pennsylvania. We pick up Rico Scott. That kid's a dog. Like what he brings to the table. And then Zabian Brown has cornerback teach tape. Reminds me a lot of Patrick Surtain. This kid mirrors wide receivers, plays the ball extremely well. And then the Peyton Woodyard kid from Georgia. Oh, my gosh. Can play in the box, can play in coverage. He could be another King of Downs.
Yep.
He could literally be another King of Downs. So I love this class. You got 3 offensive linemen in this class that are a little bit of a low-rated side. They all can mash and maul people to the ground. This class, to me, Saban got needs. Saban got some guys that he really likes. I love this class.
I agree. And one minute, Lucian, he said one name that stood out to me. And I read something about Ryan Williams, 2 things. So he reclassified. Initially, he was going to be a part of the 2025 class. And then he reclassified for 2024. And a lot of people were, wondering why he did that. And for some reason, Auburn became a part of that talk, which I don't think that there was any reason why that should have been the case. But another thing, he was listed as the 2nd highest wide receiver commitment that we've gotten since Julio Jones. So let that sit in. Like everybody in the live chat, let that sit in. The 2nd highest wide receiver commit since Julio. That, to me, that speaks volumes. And you have to remember, we have Isaiah Bond coming back, Shaz Preston, Emmanuel Henderson Jr., Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law. So we're going to be lit. I think Malik is coming back, but then Jermaine is going to the draft. So I did want to mention that about Ryan. Lucian, how do you feel about this 2024 class? Do you feel like we did pretty well, or did anyone stand out to you?
I think Saban did something spectacular, and it doesn't have anything to do with the stars. The type of caliber of player he went after is absolutely perfect, and every single one of them fit our scheme. Not only did we take the top talent from Georgia again. By the way, I'm going to digress. Shout out to Caleb Downs for winning the Sean Alexander Freshman Player of the Year. Stephen, the last time we had a freshman win that award was another guy that we robbed from Georgia in Will Anderson. So, the state of Georgia is just real giving to Alabama. I just wanted to give him a shout out.
Right.
But, Caleb Odom, I'm telling you what, the kid is different.
I'm going to say this right now. I got a guy on the ground in Pasadena. I got a source on the ground in Pasadena. I got the phone with the phone coming on. He told me, Stephen, Odom, that dude different.
He's that guy.
Is mossing people in practice right now. Caleb Odom in bowl prep is mossing people in practice. So, Amari Black, watch your back, son.
Hey.
This young cat is mossing guys right now in bowl prep.
You know what else I heard too, and I'm gonna highlight this cat because you know me, Steven. I like big maulers. Casey Poe. I'm telling you what.
Be a
I'm
freak.
telling you what.
Yeah.
Somebody Seth's moving on. I'm telling you, I could see him stepping in because he is a mauler and he's mean and he's got his footing. Also, I want to highlight the DBs Saban brought in, and not just the ones that are, the actual DBs. I want to highlight the athletes because I feel the Arian Hampton flip, that was one of the happiest things that happened to me. Everyone wants to talk about
don't pass out, Steven.
I'm telling you what, if you turn on the film and watch this kid play football, it is the most exciting, almost one of the most exciting highlight tapes I've seen this year.
Yeah.
If it's not him on the offensive side of the ball, watch the defensive. He lines up everywhere in the secondary.
Lucia, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Tommy Reese and Kevin Steele are fighting over this kid. Which side of the ball is he gonna play on? Is he gonna be a wide receiver or a DB? Like literally, Tommy Reese and Kevin Steele are about to have a full-on fist fight over this kid.
Well, they got Jalen Mbakwe too. I mean, the power that Saban, the athletic star power that Saban brought in, they might not have the stars behind it, but if you look at their tape, their highlight tapes between Xavier Brown, Peyton Woodard, you got Arian Hampton, Jalen Mbakwe, and then you got Jameer Grimsley.
Yep.
I mean, the fact that that kid, Rydarius Morgan, Red Morgan, I'm telling you, the physicality and the absolute football IQ he got from each one of these players, I think is going to pay dividends into next year's secondary. These dudes that are there right now better be on their P's and Q's because these kids coming in, they're about their business. And I think that was the most intriguing thing to me, that Saban did not go for well-known names. He went for talented. Talented and what can be progressed into making an impact to Alabama. I love it.
Say this. Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. plays like young Tyrann Mathieu. This kid is an opportunist, and I understand, the legacy with his son, with his dad, though Dre Sr. playing here, but Dre Jr. not only has the swag of his dad, but he got a bit more sauce to himself.
Yeah.
Dre Jr. got a bit more sauce to his own side. So that's going to be a very intriguing DB room for years to come.
Right. And it's worth mentioning, at least what I saw, we recruited five DBs, 2 athletes. To me, a total of 7. And I think that this is like when I saw that, I'm like, I don't know if it's the secondary coach that we should be getting kudos to first or the tight ends. Cause I said something about Caleb Odoms. I think he's from the state of Georgia, and then Jay Lindsey out of Alabama. Now, Jay Lindsey, what I liked was his size, but I think that it's awesome how we've been building that tight end position, because you got to think about the guys who are coming back too, right? You got
to give Joe Cox. Joe Cox is probably one of the more underrated coaches on this team. Coach Saban mentioned he's one of the brightest minds I've ever been around. He don't say much, but Joe Cox can flat recruit. He can flat recruit. Now, Jay Lindsey, I look at him, I picture the physicality blocking of Robbie Oots, but a better route runner. The physicality blocking of Oots, but a better route runner than Oots.
So like a bigger Miller Forstall?
Yeah.
Wow.
Basically, okay. Wow. Basically, a bigger, more. I'll say this: a cross between Miller and maybe some Irv Smith.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Steven, what about that defensive lineman we pulled from Canada that no one's talking about?
I'm gonna say this:
that dude is a grown man.
Steve M. I watched this tape. I saw 2 players. One is probably a reach, but I really don't care because I like this tape. The other player is more to the comp. Jonathan Allen, Isaiah Buggs. That's what I saw.
I made the Jonathan Allen connection, but I gave him a little bit more of a Quinnen Williams type of wiggle because he is hard.
See that too.
And his tape, the linemen weren't able to get his hands on him, and Quinnen had that little slick little body move to him too. But that dude is powerful. I mean, our defense is right now, and I'm not saying the offense don't have firepower because we obviously do, but the defensive firepower that we brought in after what we brought in last year's class,
Yep. I mean, we loaded, Steven. We look, Lucian.
Look, I mean, and then you had people to ask me, Steven, why could we not get a kicker in this class? Y'all, you got Connor Talty and Upton Belafont. You're fine.
Yeah, you were fine.
You got kickers. You got
Right.
kickers. The big thing here is, of the 23 kids you got, you hit on the offensive line because Joseph Ionata is a dude. Casey Poe's a dude. Will Sanders is a dude. So you got offensive linemen. You got defensive linemen. You got linebackers. The other guy on the defensive line, Jeremiah Beeman, is a dude. Love that kid. So you got offensive linemen. You got defensive linemen. You got linebackers.
We didn't need outside linebackers because we have
really didn't.
5 untouched.
You got 5. You got 5 of those cats.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Healy,
Look.
Pierre, Russo, Alexander.
Yep. I mean,
Hugh Robinson coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Look, that's all I got to say. We're lit, and we're going to continue to be lit. But there were a few names that y'all mentioned that I think are worth kind of honing in on a little bit more. So Joseph Ionata.
Overturn.
And look, I didn't get to him yet. Not yet. Look, so Joseph Ionata, we actually, on the Bama Standard Network, we actually had him on back in June of this year. So everyone who's in the live chat, y'all need to make sure y'all go back and watch that interview. He's an awesome guy. He's so eager to get to campus. And just to mention that his dad was, I think he was a O-lineman at Florida State. So that was a very interesting conversation that we had with him. Be sure to go back and watch that. But 2 other names, Rydarius Morgan. This guy, now it's good to note that he was initially committed to Florida State right before the season started. And then the Payton Wooder guy that you mentioned, Steven, he was initially committed to Georgia. And I thought that it was interesting that both of them decommitted literally within a day of each other. I thought that was really interesting, but I just think it speaks volumes to right even before the season started. We already had a lot of players, recruits buying into the program. And this is before we lost to Texas. And then just to see how Mbakwe, Jalen Mbakwe, how he's had a heavy foot in some of these new guys being even interested in coming to Alabama and literally because he utilized social media to let those guys know, like, look, this is where we need to be at. So I just think that speaks volume, the way that everyone, bought into the program.
I got to give a shout out to all the moms of these players, the moms and dads of these players. Like Jalen Mbakwe's mom has a video where she told him, son, it don't matter how long it takes. When your number's called, you're going to be ready. Yep. This is the best place for you. There were so many moms that spoke on why the University of Alabama was the right choice for their son to go to. And Red Morgan, that he's going to either be a corner or star. I see star written on him. The guy can play. The guy can flat out play. And when your name is Red, there's something about you, man. When your name is Red, there is something about you.
He got like that just heat-seeking Ronnie Harrison type of play feel to him. Just physical, just mean.
It's crazy.
Hair flowing. I love it.
I saw. When I look at Red, it's funny you mentioned Ronnie. I saw Ronnie with Tony Brown's mentality.
Crazy chaos, Tony.
Yeah, that's that dog. That is awesome. Look, and another outside linebacker, Sterling Dixon, and we heard his name a lot through.
Debo, that is Debo, right? I'm telling you. When I first started looking at Sterling, as far as his tape is concerned, when I first saw him, the first name that popped in my head was Tim Williams. When I first saw Sterling Dixon, the first player that popped in my mind was Timmy Williams. Now, I think Sterling's going to be a bit thicker than Timmy was because Tim was like 6'4", 230 max. I think Sterling may get a bit thicker than Timmy. But the playing style, on the exact same.
Wow. Look, I'm all for it. And Lucian, you mentioned the transfer that we got from Texas A&M, LT Overton. That's another guy. He's a defensive lineman. That's another solid guy. And I think it's also worth mentioning too that his dad had once worked, I think, as the associate athletic director at Alabama, 2009 to 2015 timeframe. So his dad has those ties under Saban. So I think that, to me, that shouldn't come as too much of a surprise to see Overton come to Alabama. But that's another name that I think is worth mentioning.
And I think we're going to add weight to him. I think that dude's
Yeah.
going to come out, play at about 285, 290 next year, and just maul people.
I
Yeah,
think so too.
yeah.
I
I
think so
know a
too.
lot of people are kind of concerned about, is he going to be an outside linebacker? We got too many guys in that room. No, Saban's going to get that man to 285, 290. He'll replace Justin Mbakwe.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
He'll replace Mbakwe as a DN.
And the fact that they'll have an experienced SEC defensive lineman in the room that can help those young kids along, because we're losing Smith, we're losing the Mbakwe, we'll have Keenan back and Otis, but other than that, we really don't have too much experience. Payne's been in there, but I mean, having another experienced guy to bring along all these young monsters we're gonna have.
Yeah.
Sack
Look,
Fest 2024.
it is. Look, the fact that we spent almost 25 minutes talking about just the recruiting, like, to me, that speaks volumes. I don't know if y'all who's watching, I don't know if y'all as excited as we are. I think we have a lot to look forward to. I'm excited for 8-8 because I think these guys, they're hungry and they're going to show up. But I do want to, there was a lot of controversy when the Final Four rankings came out a few weeks ago, right? And so, Florida State, they still been crying, and so I want to just touch on this just a little bit because I'm tired of it and I'm kind of fed up with it. And it seemed like every other day when I get on YouTube or when I just decide to just boot up my laptop, I see something else about them. So all of a sudden, again, because they pulled this same stunt before the season started where they were trying to leave the ACC. Now they're trying to blame it on just the media and how much revenue they're bringing in. But I think it's so much more than that. I think a lot of it has to do with just, you look at the SEC, for example, the strength of conference. They know subconsciously that matters, whether they want to admit it or not. I don't think it's by chance, and I don't think that it's just money being the reason why they want to leave the ACC. Ron DeSantis a couple weeks ago, right? The Florida governor, where he decided to pledge $1 million to help Florida State fight the college football playoff committee. To me, it sounds like that $1 million will be better well suited against this $570 million that Florida State is going to have to pay because of the grant of rights. So they're trying to leave the ACC, but based on the bylaws and the contracts that they signed a few years back, they can't without paying $500 million. So they're trying to sue. And my thing is, just be real about the situation. Like, y'all are trying to. So on one side of it, you feel like you deserve to be in the top 4 because you haven't lost a game, but you barely beat Boston College, and we can go down the list, Louisville, everyone else. But then on the flip side of it, you're willing to pay $500 million to go to a better conference, but SEC ain't gonna accept you because y'all are crybabies. That's number one. We don't have crybabies. You can't do that over here, so we don't want you. Big 10, maybe. Pac-12, maybe, but you're not coming here. So I just think that it's very interesting that with everything that's going on, along with Georgia trying to get Georgia was literally trying to get the Orange Bowl added to the playoffs, so they wanted to have, and I'm just like, have we lost reality? Like, are we delusional now? So what do y'all think about this Florida State stuff? Like, do y'all feel like, okay, maybe there's a possibility they could join the SEC? Like, what do y'all think? Steven?
I'm gonna start with this. For the first time, I felt bad for Boo Corrigan. And I never have said this before in my life.
Yeah.
But for the first time in my life, I looked at Boo Corrigan. I'm like, dog, I feel for you, son. I feel for you. Like, you got Florida State trying to sue, which I don't understand why. Here's my thing. Everybody's throwing stones at why Bama got in. Texas got in too. Yeah. And nobody ain't throwing a single stone in Sarkeesian.
In Michigan.
Nobody throwing a single stone at Texas. It's crickets. Nobody throwing not one iota of a stone at Texas. But Texas got in just like Bama got in. Mm-hmm. But yet Bama, we getting beaten to death here. Texas got in too. But like I said, I felt bad for Boo Corrigan because I'm like, bruh, like they trying to come at you with all these lawsuits and whatnot and what have you. Florida State. Now, I will say this. The committee plays a role in this because they led Florida State on. Yep. They led them to believe that even though our quarterback got hurt, we have an undefeated season, we should get in because they set up a precedent with TC last year, and we all saw how them ratings went down the toilet and everybody lost money. So since we're in America that's built on capitalism and everybody want to make money, want to make a dollar out of this thing, now the committee's like, well, we can't lose no more money, so we got to do something. They should have pulled Florida State out of that thing the moment Jordan Travis got hurt, or a week or so before Jordan Travis got hurt. That part I blame the committee on. But all of this lawsuit mess, Florida State, come on. Bobby Bowden was trying to pull y'all out the ACC before he croaked the bucket. And y'all wouldn't let Bobby Bowden pull y'all out.
Yep. Nah, that's all facts, man. That's all facts. Lucian, what you got? What you think about that?
Listen, I blame this whole FSU situation on the state of the world right now. See, over the last couple decades, we've been introduced to this participation trophy generation. So now you have all these people around the nation that think they just deserve to be there just because they go undefeated in their soft Charmin conference that they play football in. When your conference has a losing record as a whole, that is not what people want to see. That's not being a Power 5 conference.
No.
And not just that. We haven't been voted in the playoffs a couple years. Did you see anybody on our team seriously opt out? Did you see the governor of Alabama get on his high horse and demand that we get in there? Did you see any of that happening?
Right.
Florida State is acting like nothing other than the spoiled child they have been for the last, 3 decades. They don't put out good players. They haven't been successful in the playoffs when they've been there. Every time they've come up against an opponent that has been of nature. I mean, LSU, they beat them, but it was early in the season. Let's face it. Halfway through the season, Jaden Daniels goes up in that. But the point of the matter is, if they were as strong as a team as everyone says they are, and they seem to be, then why are all their players opting out and transferring? Send a statement to the rest of the nation instead of folding. You guys got the answer, and you did exactly what the rest of, people that actually know football knew you were going to do. You didn't get the answer you liked. So what happened? You start crying about it. What's even worse is your main players are leaving. We're not talking about backups, Stephen. We're talking about players that actually log serious time for this Florida State team. And if you ask me, from a looking outside in, if you see a lot of players like that leaving, is that a team that you think deserves to be in the playoffs? Because it's not me. But on top of that, if anybody wants to get mad at any team in the playoffs, it should most doubtably be Michigan.
I've been saying it.
Recognize the fact that they did something wrong, not once, but twice during the season, suspended both times, served it, but yet nothing happened to them. It's that shit's gone under the radar. And that just gets on my nerves. That's why on January 1st, when we lay the absolute smackdown on those Wolverines, it's going to be justice in so many different ways for college football.
Yeah. And that's what pisses me off. So all this, like, people feeling like saying that Alabama doesn't deserve it. You don't even mention us unless you're going to speak facts. Because to be quite honest, Georgia is one of the best teams as well. So I feel like really I would put Georgia in over Michigan. What precedent are you sending? What message are you sending to have a team that's constantly in trouble for ethical reasons in the top 4? Now you're leaving out one of the better teams, Georgia. So it's a lot, I think. But like you said, Stephen, it's, you look at how things have happened over the years, particularly last year with TCU getting in. And so it had Florida State thinking they could just waltz in. All they had to do was just win a game. So it was definitely a trickle down effect. But I think it's also worth noting when they play Georgia in a couple of days, they only have one scholarship quarterback who's going to be able to play because they have 2 of their quarterbacks that are transferring. Tate is transferring. He's not playing. And then the AJ Duffy guy as well. So they're only going to have Brock Glenn. You have one quarterback on scholarship that can play. Anything could happen. I mean, and then they had over 14 guys who are opting out. Now, of course, Georgia, I think they said Brock Bowers and one of their other top guys are opting out as well. But I still think Georgia will definitely still beat them. What do you think?
Georgia has Kirby Smart. So
yeah,
that he could have 30 dudes, and I still put Kirby Smart against Florida State.
Yeah. Steven?
Yeah, so Coach Norvell, I don't know what you gonna do, buddy, but yeah. But guys, so before guys I drop out of here, because I'm happy to be here with y'all. I gotta make this one point right here. So Taylor Lewan has been talking a lot of cash stuff, the former Michigan offensive lineman. And he recently came at Mark Ingram, the Alabama football ambassador. They got a little bet, a little wager going on. And so here's the thing. Apparently, Taylor Lewan goes on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. He's like, I saw the tape against South Florida, completely ignoring the fact that this is not the same Alabama team that played South Florida. Then he goes, I watched the film, and if you're a Michigan fan, you have nothing to worry about. We're tougher, we're more physical, better coached. I'm like, dude, your coach has missed half the season.
Right.
Your coach has been cited for sign stealing. Y'all barely beat Maryland and the Sisters of the Poor. And you're talking about you're a better coach. Like, Luan, when you played Alabama, y'all had Denard Robinson playing the Jesus, 3 angels, and 5 different sets of Bibles. Like, what's wrong with y'all? Like,
What is wrong with him?
Like, Shoelace couldn't even get up. Like, did y'all watch how Shoelace couldn't even get up? Like, so I don't know what Luan's problem is. Look, man.
Does he realize USF's offense is a better offense than any they've played?
Look, I'm gonna say this. Luan.
That's true.
Luan, synthetic marijuana is not good, man. Spice is not good.
Like, lay off of it.
Stuff.
Look.
That K2 stuff back in the day, Stephen. That ain't no good for you.
Look, Stephen, before you drop, what's your prediction for our game this weekend against Michigan? I almost forgot who it was.
So my prediction here, I actually got the same one from 2012, 41-14. I got the exact same one, 41-14. My players of the game, offensively, it's going to be Jalen Milroe. I think he has a game where not just the legs, but the 10 to 15 yard passes to the boundary are going to be crisp. I think he and Tommy Reese have got some cooking. I think Tommy Reese understands if they're not going to give him the deep stuff, take the easy money.
Yeah.
I think Tommy Reese understands that. He's about to implement that. I think defensively, my player of the game is going to be Caleb Downs. Caleb is going to be the defense player. I think Caleb is in for a big performance. And then if I have to throw a surprise player in there, that boy Kobe Prentice is a little something. Yeah. That boy, the SEC championship game, we saw Jam Miller, get out there in the wave. I think this game right here, Kobe Prentice is about to do a little something.
Yeah, no, I got you. I agree with you 100%. Look, thank you for joining us, Stephen. It's always a pleasure to have you on. I know the viewers, look, they all have bought into you a long time ago, so I'm sure they were excited to see you on. We really appreciate it. Roll Tide, you got to come back on soon. And look, Roll Tide, y'all be sure to support Stephen on his show as well, Touchdown Alabama.
I appreciate you, sis. Lucian, you the man, bro. We finna get in here and try to keep these folks, keep them conscious-minded and have a little fun with them.
Right.
Yeah. You be easy, Stephen. Look, Lucian, before we deviate completely from this Florida State topic, did you know that this is the first game all season that Florida State was listed as the underdog? Their first game, the one that they're about to play against Georgia. To me, that speaks volumes. Like, it keeps reiterating what we're saying about the strength of conference. This is the first time that they've been listed as the underdog out of every game. How many times were we listed as an underdog this season?
A lot.
Almost every game.
I'd say at least 4.
At least like it just seemed like literally almost every single week. So I think when you put things, because a lot of people are surface level, and that's the thing that probably frustrates me the most, even in life. It's just when people are super surface level and they don't even care enough to think. Like, put that into perspective. Like,
but we also played ranked teams though. They played one ranked team like all season, or 2 if you count Louisville at the end of the season. But throughout the season, they didn't play nobody.
Right. Yeah, that's true too. So I mean, that just keeps reiterating what we're saying. But look, we have the Rose Bowl coming up, right? Huge game. And look, we got let me see, super chat from Dell. Thank you for the support. Roll Tide Roll. The Bama Standard is the best. We're happy to have you here, Dell. Look, everyone who's in the live chat, y'all better light that thing up, because we weren't on last week, so we're hoping that everyone, you feel rejuvenated, you had a good holiday. We want y'all to light that chat up. Don't be nervous. Look, I had a few people that hit me up and that said that they were, sometimes a little nervous or apprehensive about putting stuff in the chat. Put whatever, because if you say something crazy, you're gonna get blocked anyway. So just make sure y'all ain't talking crazy, but make sure y'all are hitting up the chat, hit up the like button, comment, share the video, because we going in. But one thing that I wanted to talk about, Lucian, is our game coming up against Michigan. Like, we both share the same sentiment about just this whole ethical issue with Michigan, how you do one thing is how you do everything, and I stand on that. And so the fact that the same way that they ended the regular season with ethical issues is the same way that they started it. And so I just think that we talk about the players having discipline, but it also trickles to the coaching staff, the personnel. I mean, because that's the leadership side of things. And so to me, when that's broken, it just speaks volumes about the program. Is Michigan a good team? They're good for who they play, right? I mean, I think they're a good team. I think that their quarterback JJ, he's good as well. They've been good in terms of who they're playing. But how do you feel about this matchup? How do you feel about about us playing Michigan, but two, with they have a good running back, whatever. They're to me, I still think they're one dimensional considering their rushing yards in comparison to their passing yards. But how do you feel about this game going into it?
One, I'm actually very happy to be playing Michigan. I've wanted to play these guys for a couple of years since Harbaugh got on this good streak, because some of us don't forget what he said about Saban, and I feel that Saban hasn't either. I feel that Michigan has been very successful in the schemes that they've ran this season. I feel that they have a very good and deep brotherhood up there in the Big Ten, but here's the difference. They're alone up there in the Big Ten. When I say alone, everyone hates Michigan. Everyone hates Nick Saban, but everyone still respects Alabama as far as our conference goes, as far as teams that we play goes. No one has that type of respect for Michigan, and I think that really goes back to their coaching. Their coach doesn't set a good example for their program.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a good example set for your program, I mean, this dude's been in the media all year. And that's not a good look, especially for what he's been in the media for. I think we match up well. I don't think that they've been hit in the mouth, like I said on the final whistle last night. You have a team that has gone all season, been able to push everybody around, dominate their will. And what all these former Michigan alignment are saying is that Alabama's been soft all season. And at times we have been. They're absolutely correct. I'm not going to deny that. But something they're not going to be able to deny either, that they have not faced the athletes with the size and the speed that we have. They have not faced somebody that is going to hit them, and not just once, but repeatedly. They have not faced somebody that can lock up their entire receiving core. They have not faced a lot of the things on the offensive side either. Yeah, they faced a Marvin Harrison, but they ain't faced receivers that are elite all the way through. They haven't been able to face running backs that have 3, possibly 4 elite ones, if not 5.
Yep.
The tight ends, and most importantly, Jalen Milroe. They have not had to go up against an athlete like that. The closest, and I'm saying the closest, and the gap is far to me, is Tualia at Maryland.
Yeah.
And he did not have nowhere near the weapons or the talent or the motor or the size. I mean, Jalen Milroe is a specimen. And yeah, I know Michigan's got, some physical linebackers, but he's the size of a lot of those linebackers. And I don't see how you can look at our film, how we've been playing in the second half of the season, and say that our team's soft. I love it. That's all the rat poison we need. Keep feeding us, because I'm telling you, Nick Saban got something. And most importantly, Kevin Steele is here. Like I said last night, what happens when you get back with your best friend around the holidays and y'all start speaking?
It's like y'all never were apart, right?
Exactly. Nick Saban's got Kevin Steele, and they've had almost a month to scheme for a team that doesn't really have any surprising features about them. So, I mean, it's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to it. I really can't wait.
Yeah. And those are all really good points. I can echo every single one of them. You touched on the leadership. You touched on the controversy that surrounded the leadership, which would be Jim Harbaugh and the personnel with Connor, and just and that it matters. I don't think people understand to what degree that matters, because like I just said, how you do one thing is how you do everything, and so that does kind of filter into the locker room. You talk about rat poison when Coach Saban mentioned that, he was talking about external. To have that internal, to me, that speaks volumes. But there were a couple of things that stood out to me about Michigan, and just they're kind of like their strengths this season with the teams that they played. And I honestly believe that if they had a better if Ohio State had a better quarterback, Ohio State would have beat them hands down. Ohio State would have beat them if they had a better quarterback. I think that both teams knew that going in. But I think where Michigan, they've done pretty well has been their run game, right? So they have the really good running back that everyone's been talking about, Blake Corum, but that's it. And then looking at their defense, their pass rush, that's it.
They don't have a very high ability to make explosive plays.
Mhm.
And that's where we kind of make money, is having explosive plays. And it's not just one guy. We can go to multiple guys, like Steven said, Prentice, Bond, Burton. And then we have Black. We've hit running backs
CJ
in the
Dupree,
class.
yeah.
CJ
Kendrick
Dupree.
Law, yeah.
We don't have just a few weapons that they're going to have to worry about. And I think because our offensive attack this year has been dialed back to the original Bama form in joyless murder ball, that has also alluded to the watered down fact that our team is not that good, that we don't have certain weapons. Well, I'm here to say we got a lot of them weapons.
Well, we've proven that, right? I mean, we've literally, and see, that's why I'm so proud of our team. Like I couldn't be more. You would think that I was like their sister or something. I mean, I feel like I am, but that's why I'm so proud of them, because it's a whole different level to have the amount of noise and the amount of hate that they've gotten week after week after week. I mean, you got the governor from the state of Texas before the season even started running his mouth. So I know that in itself, that's its own adversity. But then you talk about just different things that have happened over the season. I mean, to me, I've always felt like we were the championship team, and I stand on that. But one thing too is that I think because they're pretty good in terms of their pass rush. I think that as far as Jalen Milroe, he's going to have to be, his timing and decision making is going to have to be on point. He's going to have to be able to release that ball. You ain't going to sit up in that pocket too long, swimming and fishing. No, we need to get out of there. He needs to release that ball. Like, I'm 100% on that. That has to be what a design quarterback runs, all of that.
But we also, like I alluded to last night, it's not the same offensive line that all the games they're talking about. Jaden Roberts is, I mean, let's face it, the dude's the Hulk. Yeah. Their interior defensive linemen don't know what's about to hit them. They knew about Tyler Booker. They knew about that. They knew about J.C. Latham, but they're going to find out about our freshman star and Caden Proctor, who has made so much progression over the season. Shout out to Caden Proctor. But Jaden Roberts, I'm telling you what.
He's that guy. We've been saying that though. He's that guy. I think it's worth mentioning too. We look at the conference championship games, right? Like, you can easily say Alabama, Georgia. That's going to be in the national championship game. It has been, for the most part. I mean, you got the two best teams in the nation, both solid, both talented, both coached by the best of the best. But at the same time, you look at who Michigan played. They played Iowa. I think they only had 2 touchdowns, and they were both rushing touchdowns. When you compare the amount of rushing yards that they have holistically as a team to the passing yards, there's a huge gap. I mean, like the receiving yards, I think maximum 4, I think it was a very low amount, if I remember. Yeah, 650 total. Like it's just that was the highest amount of, receiving. And to me, that speaks volumes.
There was actually talks that I heard that JJ might actually be hurt, and that's why they've been running the ball. That, if that's true, and I'm not saying that it is, but if it is true, that makes it even worse, because we got pass rushers that they haven't seen before. I mean, Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell are men, not boys. They're men's, and they're machines. And Michigan offensive linemen haven't had to go up against that type of speed and talent and power. And McCarthy, he likes to roll outside. I'm gonna tell you what. And then we got, I mean, not even to mention our inside linebackers. The health of Deontae Lawson is going to be a catalyst in how this defense is able to operate and shut down the run. I said it last night, and I'm going to say it again. Deontae Lawson is about to have his introduction back to the Alabama football, because I feel like fans kind of forgot about him because he was banged up towards the later part of the season, wasn't able to make his normal impact. Well, the dude's healthy, and I think he's gonna play like the star I knew he's been all season.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And let's see who we have. Don Parker, thanks for the super chat. I'm honestly not concerned about Michigan, but how Bama will perform. The opponent can't have more meaning than the opportunity. Haters are gonna hate. Look, the opponent can't have more meaning than opportunity. Look, that's a word in itself. I agree with you 100% on that. And another thing that I wanted to point out too, as far as JJ McCarthy. So one thing about him, he doesn't throw too many deep balls, and like you said, it could be because of injury. I'm not sure. He's only thrown one passing touchdown since their game against Michigan State on October 21st. So that speaks volumes, but he will run the ball. So I'm not sure if he's injured at this point, but I would say for our team, don't be surprised if you do see him try to run a couple times, because we're going to lock up Blake Corum just like we did Ray Davis. And that just is what it is. When you look at their last 4 games, Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State, and Iowa, the longest completed pass was 26 yards. So this guy, I think our secondary, they're not going to have too big of a job unless they try to, surprise us a little bit. But I think that our secondary, they're going to kind of play, I don't know. I don't think he ain't going to be that crazy to throw deep balls. I don't think so. Not against our secondary.
I think I don't know what he's gonna do. I hope he does test our secondary for real. Test us. Test every aspect of our defense, because I'm going to tell you something. We're going to respond in every way, and it's going to be very in kind. Because
Right.
our dudes right now are playing for something that ain't been played for in an Alabama locker room in the last few years, and that's hunger. You don't want to face an Alabama team that's hungry. These boys are salivating to get back on the field, and I can't wait.
I agree. We've not only did we find our identity, but what I noticed is that we play like someone who, how like if someone steals something of value from you, it could even be your name. That's how we're playing. We're playing like they like people took something from us and we're getting it back. And I think a lot of it has to do with last year. Look at the disrespect from last year. Even like the poor officiating. I just feel like we're playing kind of with a chip on our shoulder. We're playing like we know we do know our, and I feel like our team has bought into the identity, into the process. We're all on the same accord. Now I will say as well, I mentioned their receivers, highest amount 650. They have a couple of guys that I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe tries to target. I wouldn't if I were him. Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson. Those are 2 guys, one tight end, maybe Colston Loveland. That's it.
Those are their options that they have to go to, but they're not going to have the luxury of sitting back.
We're not going to have the
and
time.
just being able. No, they're not. And no offense, they're not going to be able to just throw a 50-50 ball up either, because those receivers aren't big. Their tight end isn't overly big either. So, I mean, they're going to try to run the ball. And because, they watch the Auburn tape and they're thinking, "Oh, well, if Auburn can do it, let's do it." Well, guess what? This game ain't being played on Indian Burial Ground. It ain't being played at that lame cow college down the street. We're at the Rose Bowl. This is different. Like, they don't also have, I would say, the strength. Now, Auburn might not have an overly huge offensive line, but the strength as an overall unit and the power in their running backs. I'm not saying that Blake Corum and that Edwards dude don't have a power as running backs, but in the SEC, the wear and tear that you have to go through
Exactly.
week in and week out is not comparable to what they have to go through up in the Big Ten. They're not facing 300-pound linemen all throughout the game. They might face 1 or 2, not like 7, 8, and 9, and linebackers that are 250 running 4.4s, tracking them down on the sidelines. They haven't had to deal with that. But it's just going to be interesting to see what Michigan actually comes out and does. Like, when their fan base can't talk anymore, and when we can't talk anymore, and our team's got to line up, and it's Saban looking across at that khaki dude, nose picking guy that wears that maize and blue ugly M. That's when we're going to find out.
Yeah. You know what? And I was disgusted a few weeks ago. to see someone in church a few weeks ago with a Michigan hat on. Like it literally made me cringe because I'm just like, y'all, like it goes to it's almost idolatry in a sense, is what I've been seeing lately. But to me, it's also a team that's not used to winning anything. You know what I'm saying? Because even considering last year, I personally think the reason why they lost to TCU was because they didn't have their signals, and I stand on that, But one
Same
person
thing with
that
Georgia.
yeah, I mean that's just what it is, right? But one person that I do want to mention for Michigan, he's a running back, Donovan Edwards. This guy, I think he may be their second leading rusher. Huge gap between him and Blake Corum, but this guy, I believe he has the same amount of rushing yards that he does receiving yards. And I mention his name because I wouldn't be surprised if they, try to get a little tricky and throw some creative plays in there with him. Maybe on the passing side, I don't know, short passes, slants or something, but I definitely see them utilizing him.
And again, I hope they do, because we got a guy by the name of Jahad Campbell
Exactly.
and Deontae Lawson,
Right.
and they both got interceptions this season. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Fumble recoveries. Like, I mean, I look, and this like look, and I feel like I have to explain myself, especially when we have people from other fan bases. You would think that people have sense, right? You would think that people, at the end of the day, they choose common sense over delusion, but that's not always the case. And I'm surprised every day. Like I'm surprised, and I see backup quarterback Alex Orji, so that could be another person that they put in there. I don't know. They're
No,
trying to compare him to
that
Jalen
was
Milrow.
yeah, and that right there, like Jalen Milrow might put that out of his head, but their offensive line hasn't, their running backs haven't, their receivers haven't. Like, you disrespect my quarterback, that we're going to take that personally. You don't ever hear anybody on our team disrespect any player in any type of way. And you might hear a
Mm.
little bit of shade if it's a rival, but going into the game, you're going to talk about game week, and you're going to let it go like, well, he's a little bit more polished than our backup quarterback we got over here. What type of confidence are you trying
Yeah.
to instill in your team with that? That does nothing but bode worse for your team.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and
Yeah.
it's just McCarthy is going to have to, he's going to have the game of his life,
Yeah.
because we haven't seen it. I haven't been like, oh, I haven't turned on the film like, wow, McCarthy looked amazing.
Well,
Has
they haven't
never.
played a full 4 quarters this whole season.
I mean, the argument could be also made that we haven't, but the difference is we've
No, it
beaten
can't.
ranked
No,
teams. Hold on,
That
hold on,
no,
hold on,
no,
hold
no,
on,
it cannot.
hold on, hold on.
Wait a minute.
We've beat ranked teams not playing 4-quarter games.
We
They,
played a full 4 quarters, not against LSU. What game did you watch?
I'm saying, not, they didn't come. I'm talking about coming out off the start, full 4-quarter,
Yeah, we did.
foot on the neck. I would not
Mm-mm,
say LSU. I'll give you 3. I'm not going to give you 4. I grade a lot. I
mm-mm,
grade a lot tougher. But I'm
mm-mm.
saying the fact that we haven't, and we've beaten all these ranked teams, and they have beaten pretty much nobody other than Ohio State and a Penn State who didn't have a quarterback that could throw a ball over 15 yards. So they haven't beaten
Mm,
anybody of actual talent. And even to
yeah,
higher that point, we have what's called in the SEC NFL talent every week.
yeah,
Ask,
yeah, yeah.
ask Jackson Dart, ask
Mm-hmm,
Jaden Daniels,
mm-hmm,
ask Carson Beck. These are 3 quarterbacks that are all better, more athletic than JJ McCarthy. Ask them
yeah.
how they felt after they got knocked out playing against Alabama. And if
Right.
JJ McCarthy's already hurt, we might get to see that backup that's just a little bit
We
less
might.
polished than Jalen Milrow. And I
We
hope
might.
we
We
do.
might. We might. Look. Let's move on to. I want to get your predictions. We got it from Steven. He said 41-14. What do you? How do you see this game going? What's your prediction?
Oh, I predict joyless murder ball.
Yeah.
Painful, big hits, tackles for loss. Us just pretty much making the game nasty, because this is a game that they don't want. They like to draw out the games. They like to have control. We ain't gonna let them do that. We're gonna be nasty, and we're gonna hit them, and we're gonna keep hitting them. My score prediction is a little bit like Stevens, kind of around what everybody else is. I'm not giving them a touchdown. I'm gonna give them field goals, but I'm not giving them a touchdown. My final score is 38-12 in the Tide roll. Players of the
Mm,
game, I'm gonna give it to on the defensive side, I'm gonna say Deontae Lawson. He shows up back big, has a huge game for us, making tackles for loss, making sure that both running backs don't get out, making sure that tight end stays in our grasp. On the offensive side, it's going to be simple. Everyone's talking about Michigan's run game. Forgot about Jason McClellan. Guess what? I haven't. He's going to be my offensive player of the game because joyless murder ball means that we're going to run the ball, and we're going to run the ball a lot. And Michigan ain't seen an offensive line with the power and the number of horses we got in our stable. And I think Jace is just about to eat.
Yeah. All right. So my score prediction is actually eerily similar to you and Steven. So I have 42. Now I said 42-17. And I said that because if by chance we did have, maybe like when we played Tennessee, for example, where we came out a little slow. And so I'm thinking that, this is a huge game. We're out in California. There's a chance if we allow them to move down the field, I could see possibly 17 maximum. But I think if we come out there and we play a full 4 quarters, like I believe we will, 42-13, that's my prediction. So that's what I see happening. I think when you look at the Sugar Bowl, I see Texas beating Washington. I'm looking at 35-28 Washington. They can score on offense, but I think that Texas does have a little more of an edge than Washington. So I think we're going to see Texas January 8th in Houston. That's just my opinion. What are you going to say? And you're muted.
I want us to play Texas, but I rarely ever get my wish, and my birthday be around then too. So I'm going to say we're going to play Washington.
I say Texas.
I want to play Texas, but I don't think the football gods are going to give us what we want. I don't think they're going to give us revenge this year on Texas.
I mean, well, there's just one God, and I think that I feel like we're gonna play Texas. I think that it's gonna be the exact game that we need. Hostess went out of business. Michigan took all their cupcakes. Look, hey, pass one on over here to me. No, look, I definitely think that we're gonna play Texas. I think that's gonna be the beautiful ending for this story, right? You look at the South Florida game, Texas, how we lost at home. I just think it's gonna be the perfect ending, and especially for Jalen Milroe. I mean, to me, this is a story of redemption, and that's going to be the word for this season, redemption. And I stand on that. Okay. All right. Look, y'all heard it from us, and I know y'all are lighting up that chat. We really appreciate it. You look, the super chats. Thank you for the donations. Now, I do want to remind everyone that right after this, 8:15 Central Standard Time, 9:15 Eastern Standard Time, we have another show that'll be airing on the Bama Standard Network here on YouTube, hosted by JT and George Teague. So be sure to check that out. They have some great content. But also, we have our post-game show coming on right here at the Bama Standard Network, right after we beat Michigan, right after we mollywop Michigan. We send them back with their signals that were of no use in this drone that we keep hearing about that's going to get shot down, because we don't play that over here. So look, we got some great content coming out. We have the post-game show. Be sure to tune in. Y'all know we be going off over here. But one other thing that I wanted to mention too, if you're planning to go to the game, if not, still get it. Your game is not the same without the title towel. So be sure to visit whitwillsports.com. That's WHITWIL sports.com. Order yours today and be sure to use the promo code STANDARD for an exclusive discount. So without further ado, Lucian, I have to thank you for joining us. Look, we always have great content. We share similar thoughts and perspectives for the most part. Look, I still stand on us playing a full 4 quarters against LSU, but we don't have to agree on that.
Hey, I grade like Saban does. Tough.
Man, Saban, look. Saban on my side. Me and Saban, we see eye to eye. Look, we got the same level of thinking there. So, anywho, do you have any social media that you want to list for the viewers?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Rolush21. Also, was on the bottom of the screen. Also, I'm on Twitter. Well, that was my Twitter. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram as Lucian Graves. You can also find my newest article, my first article being published on the BamaStandard.com. It's a look forward on what we have to look forward into the season of 2024. It's a great read. I've had a lot of positive responses. If you guys are interested or are curious about what we got in store as far as Alabama Crimson Tide football next year, go check it out.
All right. Y'all heard it from him. Be sure to go follow him. Be sure to check out his article. So you can find me on Instagram. I don't be all over the place. Honestly, I don't really care for social media like that, but I'm trying to work on that because, I know it's a useful tool if you use it the right way. So you can find me on Instagram at beauty_of_intelligence. Y'all ain't gonna really see me on there running my mouth about Michigan because I really don't want to give them like any of my social media space. You know, we like to talk about good stuff over here, so you won't hear me talking about Michigan there. But anywho, look, Roll Tide. We're going to dominate Michigan. I just don't, there's no other way. So look forward to that. January 1st, we dominate Michigan. January 8th, we're out there in Houston. We're going to dominate Texas because I think they're going to beat Washington. Not that I have a fist in the fight, but I would like to see redemption more so for Jalen Milroe. You know, that's what happens when you aspire for greatness and you achieve it. You know, he's on that path and he's coming back next year. So, I mean, he's just going to get better and better.
I think more importantly, though, than redemption, this is about achieving something that none of them have, is winning a national championship and etching their name in the Walk of Champions.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Jalen Milroe is most concentrated on right now. He wants to be remembered. That's why he wasn't concerned with the Heisman. He wasn't concerned with all these awards. He wants to be remembered as a national quarterback that won the national championship.
Because what does it all mean at the end of the day, right? It's not about just having content to put on social media. That ain't writing no checks. That ain't filling no plasters on the wall with no trophies. Your goal should be winning the trophy. That's why every time we play these raggedy teams like and I'm about to go off. Every time we play those raggedy teams like Auburn's and everybody else, Texas A&M with Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher ghetto behind, they literally treat Alabama like their national champion. That's the best they gonna get. So every single weekend, I mean, that's just is what it is. We are the standard. All this rat poison, like we flush it down the toilet because we've been that. You know what I'm saying? Like we've been that, and I'm gonna always go off about that because I see greatness. It's been there when you have true freshmen playing the way Caleb Downs, Caden Proctor. Like you don't see that every day. And what other team can say that?
Generational talent on both sides of the ball.
Like it's on a whole different level. So I wish you would say that we don't deserve to be in the top 4. I wish you would, Florida State, come over here with some. And I wish you would come over here with some lawsuits. Like we ain't doing that over here. We've been that. We've been the greatest. Like, listen, what you mean?
Florida State needs to stay down in Florida with that Karen energy, trying to just dictate. Yeah. We're going to send some lawsuits. This is football. I'm sorry, in football, the best team plays. Look at the NFL. Do you see the Carolina Panthers or teams making a big deal because they didn't win or they got screwed out of a schedule? No, you don't see that. It's football. The best team should be in, and the best team is in.
And that's
minus Michigan and Georgia. I would flip that, but the committee, so thoughtful of the committee. They're like, listen, the SEC, we can't make the best playoff, but what we are gonna do is we're gonna give you guys Michigan, and I love that. I really do.
Yeah, well, Florida State, they have bigger issues to worry about. This $500 million that they're going to have to cough up. They need to be worried about that. They don't need to be worried about Alabama. They don't need to be worried about Houston because they ain't going. They need to worry about proving a point and beating Georgia. Because if you really believe that you're one of the best teams, you would go and beat the team that we just beat. That's what you would do, right?
They need to worry about not getting all their commits flipped. That's what they need to worry about.
That's what's about to happen.
KJ Bolden.
Yeah, that's what's already happened. Right, exactly. Look, y'all,
Reed Morgan. Just saying.
Right. And look, we can keep going. Look, I don't want to keep y'all on too long. We have a lot to say. We still got a lot to say, but we're gonna have more to say after the game.
Chat. We got another super chat. Yeah.
Okay, Run the Table Sports TV. Thank you for the super chat. Nobody's overlooking Lil Blue. That's what we gonna call him. Nobody's overlooking Lil Blue. I had to think about it, connect the dots. It's just Bama's time and destiny. Sorry, y'all. Just happened to be in front of us on the road to the Natty. 42-17. Look, it sounds like we all on the kind of the same page as far as the score prediction.
They're just the next man up on the schedule. That's all it is to us. Our players don't care about Michigan. They're not hearing anything Taylor Lumen or any of those former bad offensive linemen that didn't really do anything in the NFL are talking about anyway. That's why they're getting paid in the show right now. They ain't got no Super Bowl rings, do they?
Exactly. What do we always say? The goal is to be 1-0 every single week. That's the goal. Get the job done, or just don't go. So I believe we're gonna go out there and dominate. And y'all be sure to check us out after the game, the post-game show. We're gonna light it up, and then be sure to check out the national championship. We'll be in Houston. I'm excited. And we're going to have a post-game show after that. So roll tide roll. Look, y'all continue to support us. Be sure to support the Bama Standard Network. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so. Be sure to go back and watch some of our previous post-game shows just so you can see how we get down, because we're usually like unadulterated and unfiltered there. So without further ado, thank you, Lucian. Roll tide roll, everyone.
Thanks
and we will see you after the game. Roll tide. Roll tide.